In this game, winners win, and I only back winners. Trainer Kenny McPeak is a proven winner, and his horses are in my portfolio. And now they can be in yours too. McPeak's champion horses and Derby hopefuls are now featured on Morning Line. With Morning Line, I don't just watch the race. I own the moment. I invest in champions. This is my edge. Buy, sell, trade, anytime. Morning Line, own the game.
Hey everyone, Ashley May, Mike Beer here, taking a look at one of the stakes races this Saturday at Gulfstream Park. They have a couple of graded stakes. We'll focus in here on the grade 3 Forward Gal. Before we dive into that field, just a word here from morningline.io, our sponsor for our content here on the DRF YouTube. We know that old school ownership locks you in. There's fees, markups, and no exit. Morningline offers a modern alternative. Licensed access to elite racehorses with flexibility to buy, sell, or trade at any time. There are no ongoing costs. You can get that at morningline.io. So appreciate their sponsorship here of our content. And mention it, the Forward Gal, Mike, is where we're going to focus in on in this preview. 7 furlongs on the dirt for the 3-year-old fillies. And I actually think it's a pretty good field of 8. I think this is maybe where we'll start to see who's really good, right? Kind of separate themselves from maybe being stakes horses and figure out, who's kind of the better bunch of these 7 furlong sprinters.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, there's a lot of these fillies anyway are still lightly raced enough that I don't think you could look at them and have a clear-cut idea of how good they are right now and how good they're going to be. But it seems like there's some real talent in here. Certainly, in the case of the 4 Mythical, I feel like we kind of know that she's pretty good, actually. I mean, that was quite a 2-year-old campaign she had last year.
Yeah, and some tough spots. And obviously her one poor performance, her only non-win, was in the spin-away, but she's been able to regroup. And I think for her, this is getting back into those sort of graded stakes waters, right, after coming out of those restricted races for the Florida breds in the Florida Sire Stakes. Now, 7/8, we mentioned, is the distance. This can always be a little bit tricky, so we'll look at the Timeform US Pace Projector to help us see how things might fare early on. And this is where it gets interesting. I mean, obviously Mythical last time out, she went 2 turns, Mike, and she went 46 and 2 to the half. I have a feeling she is the speed in here, but there are others that could certainly press this. And I don't know, does some of these horses have to be so far back? I know Sneaky Good closed from it last time out, but I don't think she could necessarily be second from last year. She might be mid-pack.
I agree. Yeah, I thought this pace was pretty tough to decipher. And maybe it'll play out this way. Actually, I'm not convinced that it has to be a fast pace in here, but listen, maybe it will be. We'll see how these riders decide to play it. If nothing else, I do think Mythical, if they wanted to lead with her, I think they could probably get it.
We'll dive right into it. The number 1, Music Burst, who was able to finish second last time out. Now, that was at Turfway Park. That was her first time facing winners. And, you look at her debut, maybe you give her some forgiveness there and draw a line through it. She didn't really show anything, but she was able to graduate. And then she took another step forward. It was a different surface, Mike. I actually think there are some things to like about her. And I don't know how much to read into the Turfway performance, just knowing that she sort of got, in my opinion, the right trip. She was close to the action and sort of had first jump on other horses in there. We'll see what she does getting back on the dirt.
Yeah, I thought she just ran okay last time. I didn't think there was anything special about that performance, but it was another step in the right direction for her. So, that's a good sign. To me, she's just one of the fillies in here. I think, she has as much or more to prove than anybody else in this field does. Her races are fine, but what she's done so far, it's not going to get it done against this field. She's going to have to improve.
Now, the number 2, Tessa Late, was able to win a stakes race last time out at Tampa. We'll show that effort, and it's interesting. She ends up being much the best in the race at Tampa, but the 3rd place finisher, Ridgie, is a horse that we talked about in our preview for the Wednesday Tampa race of the day here on DRF. And I know we're not enamored with her, and I don't know. I don't think, when you try to compare these fields, this field that this horse is going to face on Saturday is significantly tougher.
Yeah, that was my concern with her too. This is a good performance for her. It feels like this was obviously a great spot for her too, and she's just better than these horses in the replay that we're watching. But she wins the race fairly convincingly. Even the race 2 back was even more impressive, but that was also probably a much weaker field than this one. There's some class concerns here, but she'll probably be a pretty fair price, and overall her form's fine.
The number 3, Chicane in here exits one of those races from New Year's Day at Gulfstream Park. And I think we might have talked about this race, Mike, a little bit, the cash run. And I don't know, I wasn't really enamored with that field in general. So I don't necessarily give that race a lot of weight. And I think the prior effort, she went off favorite, and I know she finished third, but it was a 5-horse field. She didn't run particularly well in New York.
No, the race two back is the one that really put me off her. I didn't think she ran well at all when they brought her to New York. I didn't think she ran that well last time either. I thought she made an easy lead in that race, and she just couldn't get away from those horses in the stretch and wound up getting caught. I remember really being taken with her debut. I thought she ran really well that day, and I don't like either of her races since then.
The number 4, a Mythical, obviously had a ton of success in the Florida Sire Stakes, a 12 3/4 length victory in the Susan's Girl, and the My Dear Girl, in the next start was able to win once again, and very different, right? 7/8 versus a mile and a 16th. I know the pace projection, shows her on the lead. She could make it the lead in here, but she doesn't have to, Mike, to be effective.
No, she doesn't. I mean, she showed at least two back, and it felt like that was by design, two back, that they rated her, let somebody else make the pace in there, and then she came from just off it to win, as convincingly as a horse could win a race. They went back to using her speed last time. She didn't really seem like she wanted to rate too kindly early in there around 2 turns, but that's a different kind of a race. I like them coming back at a shorter race here. All of her races last year actually were really good. She's got a lot of speed. I just took the position in this race that she's the horse to beat. We'll see if anybody improved enough to take her down.
The 5, Sneaky Good, is up next here for Brad Cox. He'll send out a couple in here. It comes off a victory in the Sandpiper now. Kind of a nice performance from her. It was her first time facing winners, had 2 months off in between her starts, and she handled it just fine. And I sort of like that she didn't do the same thing that she did on debut. She didn't take them gate to wire, and I think this is a good spot for her, Mike. I actually still think, though, longer term, wouldn't we probably see her around 2 turns at some point?
Yeah, you probably will. She's got pedigree to go on, and that's probably makes her first 2 starts even a little bit more impressive going. Since I really liked her debuts, they just made her work basically every step of the way, and they're challenging her on the lead, and she just ran away from those horses at the end. That was a really nice debut, even though it only got a 68 buyer, and they did it a totally different way in the stakes race last time, just raiding her right from the start, sitting wide all the way around the track, coming for the leaders in the stretch and just running them over. She's done some really good things in her first 2 starts. I feel like she deserves to keep stepping up in class and keep taking on more distance and see where she winds up.
Her stablemate's the 6, On Time Girl, who comes in here off a 3.5 length victory in the Fern Creek at Churchill. So she's traveled the Kentucky circuit. She's been forward throughout. She doesn't like to be sort of anywhere near off of it, Mike. I mean, she's been, kind of making her move somewhat early, and at least in 2 of her races, maybe even 3 of them. And I don't know. I think there's a lot to like about her. I think maybe visually, I don't know if she's really progressed, but her figures would suggest that she has with each and every start.
No doubt. Yeah. And I feel like of the 2 Brads, this is probably the one, as you were sort of alluding to, this is probably the one that goes forward early and is part of the pace in here. I mean, listen, all of her races are good. The only loss in the stakes race 2 starts back. It's not that hard to go back and watch that race and say she finished second, but she ran the best race in there. She dueled the pace the entire way. She put away 2 different challengers. And then finally the winner came from last and ran her down coming to the wire. She's been good in all of her starts, Ashley, and she's a major contender in here.
Move to the 7, Holland Drive, who I think is really intriguing. Maybe another horse down the road we'll see stretch out in distance. We'll take a look at her most recent performance, which was her first attempt at Gulfstream. She's gone from Horseshoe Indy to Laurel, now to Gulfstream. And I don't know, I really, really liked this effort from her. She had to roll from off of it. Obviously, she got the pace help in that 6.5 furlong event where they go 22-2, 45-3. And I thought this was something that she could continue to build off of. And I said, I'm intrigued by her. I mean, her pedigree is beautiful. She's a half to a couple of really talented horses. And I don't know. I'm hopeful that she offers value in this spot.
Yeah, I think she probably will. Yeah, you're right. She's the best bred horse in the race, as you were sort of alluding to there. She's a half to Hot Rod Charlie and Matoli, 2 really, really good horses. She's got the best pedigree. Her races so far, they're good, but she's going to have to run better than that if she's going to beat these horses. But I do like the progression. I mean, I wish she ran better when they tried the stakes race 2 starts back. Maybe the wet track is enough of an excuse there. I just didn't think that she ran well in that race, but she certainly bounced back last time.
Yeah, and I guess it, helps her a little bit that the 2nd and 3rd place finishers came back to win. But I agree. You would have liked to seen a little bit more, not last in a compact field. We rounded out here with the number 8 for Todd Pletcher. Johnny V climbing back aboard, was aboard last time out, but not on the debut. And a horse that, I think there's things to like. I just wonder, based on the last out, the horse takes them gate to wire, Mike, now has to cut back in distance. They're likely going quicker early on at the 7As. I just couldn't really figure out what sort of trip this horse is going to get. And I didn't know if this horse can really close from off of it based on what we saw.
Yeah, I agree. Like, what kind of trip is she going to get in here? I know that she wired a field going a mile last time, but that was a super easy pace. That they basically walked up the backstretch in there before she picked it up and had plenty left through the stretch in there. I mean, I just feel like her 2 races so far are fine and they're not great. And she's got to run a lot better than that against this field.
So field of 8 for the Forward Gal. And I think just talking about this field, Mike, no one would be a complete shock. I mean, there's at least a race for every horse in here that you can go back to and maybe like, but oddly enough, same top 4 for us. Backwards, though, in terms of the order here, you'll go to the 5, Sneaky Good.
Yeah, I just like both of her races. I feel like this is a nice next step for her and Brad Cox here. I'm going to take her on top in this race. I think I gave Mythical the respect that I think that she deserves, and I put her second.
Yeah, I think it's exciting to see her get back against graded stakes competition for Mythical, but I go to Holland Drive. There's the price play in play. I think this horse should be a decent effort. I don't think people are going to love the Laurel performance, which we both aren't a fan of, but I look at the other sort of bookends there of her career, and I like what I've seen from her, and I like that she has a local performance. So I use her on top. So 4, 5, 6, 7 in some combination for Mike and I. He goes to the 5, Sneaky Good. I go to the 7, Holland Drive. Best of luck.